He's built and led companies for decades. A CEO of an 8-figure business, a consultant, a coach, and now an advisor helping leaders double the value of their companies.
I have been more than 3 decades in the health and wellness industry. In fact, my wife and I were in the industry together. Of those 35 years, the last 20, we owned our own businesses. We scaled it from nothing to 3 locations doing nearly $15 million.
But what does it really take to build a business that's more profitable, easier to run, and ready for the future?
A lot of times business owners think that the only way to grow or scale their company is to grow revenue, and that's not necessarily the case.
In this episode, Tim Rhode reveals a surprising truth behind growth, leadership, and the habits every founder needs to stop today if they want to unlock real success.
Like, why would you not want your business to be as valuable as possible? Like, imagine your business is a trilogy. There's 3 distinct eras in running a business. The first movie would be, the second business is, the third business is the exit movie. So that's where everything pays off.
This is KlikTV. Today on KlikTV, we're joined by Tim Rhode, co-founder of Clear Growth Advisors, a new growth advisory firm designed to help you double the value of your business. CD3 business growth advisor, leadership coach, and LX Council peer group moderator with over 40 years as a manager, owner, consultant, and CEO of an 8-figure company, Tim helps leaders make their businesses more profitable, more valuable, and easier to run. He also teaches these principles in his leading successful change program. Tim, welcome to KlikTV.
Thank you very much, Arthur. I appreciate being here.
So you're C3D certified. What's one habit or tool from that framework you use every day with your clients? I want to learn more about this C3D.
Yeah, and that's a great question. So first of all, C3D stands for the 3 dimensions of growth, being certified in the 3 dimensions of business growth. And that's predictable profits and cash flow, a predictable profitable growth, and predictable transferable value. So when we use this approach to help companies grow and scale, they're not just focused on one thing. And we do what it takes to help them grow the fastest and the best, but those 3 things work as different dimensions that you can use to advance a company's success. A lot of times business owners think that the only way to grow or scale their company is to grow revenue or to grow locations or volume. And that's not necessarily the case. You can grow a company's margin and compound its value sometimes without increasing its revenue at all. So one thing that I use a lot with this particular framework is what we call the clarity analysis. And it's an approach that business owners use to get clear about what it is that they want to do. That's probably the main thing that I do. The lack of clarity causes uncertainty and hesitation. And that's what so many businesses are struggling with. So when we focus on helping an owner find clarity around their intent, around what is or isn't working well in their company, what it would take for them to improve the value of their business the most, that's when we see the best growth.
That's very, very impressive. Fortunately, I've had the experience, to do the assessment tool, and it was definitely eye-opening.
It's a lights-on exercise. It takes only 10 minutes to do, but the revelation, the thing that you reveal as you score your business. So these are just 24 questions, and they're the same things that an outside company would look at if they were evaluating your company. So when you take that perspective and do an honest assessment yourself of your company, it starts that whole clarity journey, and that's when a business can really be set free to grow.
What made you shift in 2015 from building companies to advising leaders? Also, what surprised you about that transition?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I have been more than 3 decades in the health and wellness industry. In fact, my wife and I were in the industry together. And of those 35 years, the last 20, we owned our own businesses. We scaled it from nothing to 3 locations doing nearly $15 million, 350 people on our team. And it was a high service level, high contact business model, right? And so we had focused that entire time on helping people to actually achieve their goals, making the business run better. When we exited, I learned a whole new aspect of business. And when you talk about what surprised me the most, I had spent more than 3 decades focused on making my business and other people's businesses run better. And when I exited, I realized that there was another whole chapter to this. Now I look at businesses differently. I look at them like imagine your business is a 3-act play or maybe a trilogy, like 3 movies, right? There's 3 distinct eras in running a business. The first movie would be you launching the business and making it successful, right? Kind of think the first Star Wars movie, right? The second business is you actually running and scaling the business, getting it to run profitably and be reliable. The third business is the exit movie. That's when you have the big crescendo. That's where everything pays off. When you realize that there's really these 3 different chapters or 3 different movies when you run your business. If you're producing the movies about your business and it's a trilogy, you start doing them differently. You don't, like my vision sort of ended at that time at the end of the second movie. And when we sold, I learned a whole lot more. And that really is what's driven me to help other business owners since then. So my business advisory practice started before we launched our own business. But since then, I've worked with businesses in different industries. And now, especially now, focusing on helping them to maximize their enterprise value. So that third movie in the trilogy is something that happens with clarity and lights on. They can literally compound the value of their business.
Do you find that although you work with businesses in different industries, the challenges tend to remain very similar?
Very similar. And it starts with how much confusion and diversion is actually going on in a business when you can bring everybody together with this clarity exercise that you and your team have done, and then get them focused on what it takes to accelerate their success. There's, common issues are around staffing, business development, operations, all kinds of, customer success. And so those tend to happen across industries. Yeah. But the solutions for them are very, very similar. So it really works really almost no matter what industry you're working in.
In simple terms, what is strategic capacity? And how can an owner tell if theirs is strong or weak?
So when you do the clarity exercise, one of the first things it rates the strategic capacity for your company. That's a term that most people don't understand. So let's forget strategic for a minute. Let's just talk about capacity. That's something people do understand. So what is the current capacity of your business to do, pick any aspect of the business. What is the current capacity of your business to run profitably, to generate sufficient cash flow? What is the capacity of your team to deliver reliably for your customers? What's the capacity of your company to produce a multiple that's going to help you to exit or retire with the kind of money that you want or need from your life's work, right? Mm-hmm. So if you think about that capacity, however it's running right now, it's at some capacity. It's operating at, let's say, some fraction of its potential. So when you compare the business current capacity with its potential, that's called the value gap. And we can look at the gap between how a business is running now in any aspect and compare it to its potential, and we can measure that, we can gauge that. And then we begin a process of projects to help close that gap, close that value gap, and help a company that could be worth, and maybe is worth 10 million now, to be worth 15, 20, or even 30 million if it achieves its potential, right? So that when you back the strategic into it, the strategic capacity is the company's ability to achieve its potential. So that's where it comes from.
Those are great.
It's actually a new term in business valuation, and I think it's the ultimate measure of potential business value growth. When we work with companies with clear growth advisors, and you heard me mention earlier that clarity is like the thing I use every day, that's the basis for our firm, Clear Growth Advisors. Mm-hmm. We help a company get clear about its current strategic capacity along with its potential, and then work with the teams there to put together a strategic growth plan. Mm-hmm. Now, people are familiar, business leaders are familiar with a strategic plan. This is specifically a strategic growth plan to improve their profits and cash flow, to improve their enterprise value and the transferable value of the company. So it's a strategy to achieve that growth specifically.
Impressive. What's one thing that you help founders stop doing that immediately unlocks growth?
I think that one of the things we help them do is to stop being confused, right? So we remove that confusion from that people just learn to live with. You get so used to working on the day-to-day that you kind of take your eyes off of that future. One of the first things we do when we work with a business owner is we help them clarify their strategic intent. What is it that you want from this business? When they realize that the disparity between what their business is likely worth now and what it could be worth, that's when they have their epiphany and start doing the things that it takes to compound the value of their business.
Why should an owner who isn't selling anytime soon, right, still care about building transferable value?
I would answer that with a question like, why would you not want your business to be as valuable as possible? And you hear this a lot. Well, we're not planning to exit anytime soon. The idea is to have your business be exit ready. 50% of business exits are unplanned. Health reasons, life-changing reasons, something happens disrupting in your industry, whatever. I've seen it, I've experienced it myself. And so there isn't a bad time to have your business be exit ready. And when you realize that you are running this, you're producing this trilogy, like, why would you not want your business to be as valuable every step of the way, right? And really what it does is it gives you options. Even somebody who is planning to exit, I've seen this happen too, where we'll come in and work with somebody who is sure they want to exit their company in the next 2 years. We start working with them on their strategic capacity, fixing the things that weren't running as well as they could be. And then it's like, yeah, maybe I want to stay here. Right? You've seen that show, Love It or List It, right?
Sure.
And so sometimes the business gets better to the point where they don't necessarily want to exit right now. Fundamentally, what you come away with are choices. And it doesn't matter to us if somebody gets their business more valuable and keeps it or sells it, but the key is to have choices. If you could turn your business into an oil well, why would you not want to do that? And it gives you a very strong position at the deal table, because you don't have to sell it, potentially, you just could.
I've often heard stories from people saying how deals fall apart in the end through due diligence or some other questions that come up at the deal table.
You bring up a great point. So due diligence is nothing more than an adversarial audit. I've been through due diligence, and I worked with companies that have been through due diligence, and I never heard somebody express it that way. And when I did, it was lights on exercise. The people on the other side of the table are trying to figure out all the reasons why they can justify offering you less, right? So you do that for your own organization first. And when you know that your stuff's right and you come to the table, you can handle yourself there with swagger, because you know your business is doing well on all these fronts. Many times you can negotiate for a premium as opposed to taking a haircut when it's time to, sell your business.
Who mentored you the most? And maybe can you share one idea that you got from this mentor that you still use today?
I had chills right now. It's just a timely question. So my biggest mentor in my entire life passed away on Saturday.
Oh, wow.
And nobody expected it. For more than 40 years, this guy had us under his wing, and helped us through so many situations. He was just a force in an industry. And what I learned from him, interesting, is nothing that he ever said to me. It wasn't a lesson that he wanted me to learn. You learned it by watching him, by being around him, by seeing how he operated. And it actually became the primary value for our entire company, and it's caring. He cared so much about everybody he met, every project he worked on. He cared for an entire industry. He helped to found and foster and grow the health and wellness industry. He was one of the guys that helped put together the very first trade association more than 40 years ago. And there isn't anybody that he's touched in the last 40, 50 years that wouldn't tell you exactly the same thing. His name is Rick Caro. Interesting enough, his last name is Caro, and the number one value that I learned from him was caring. The guy you couldn't do business with him without him adopting you to be his friend.
Once again, Tim, thank you so much for being a guest on KlikTV. In the link below, you'll find more information about Tim and his organization. Certainly reach out to them, because it will be eye-opening, game-changing, and obviously will give you a level of clarity that you have not had before. Also, please continue to follow, like, and subscribe to our podcast. Till next time.